Gentlemen, welcome back to the shop. A treat especial, a Teutonic tool resplendent in its bumblebee habit. Go ahead and start the clock. That's about as German as Tono on your pizza. No, baby doll. Tono means cheese in German, I'm pretty sure. Head it up. You ever have tuna on a pizza? Fucking sick. Oh! You ever watch one of them goofs? You know it's going to turn out bad, but you watch just to... Huh. Time! This calls a 12-volt DeWalt driver, 5-in-1. Same as the Milwaukee, what I loved, except for the switch was terrible. And I went to grab it the other day. This thing's not sounding so good. Making all kinds of crunching, grinding noise. I think it was either night shift or the fact I was running it high gear with that 1-inch spade bit, and I think she gave up the ghost. It's not super happy, but the real deal breaker is that G's-less switch on the top. Instead of having a nice switch like this, it's got the one up top here. It's on the job site, so I can't show you. But the other thing that drives me nuts, you know when you got to make an adjustment, okay, you put a screw in and you look at it and it's not right. You got to take a screw out, you put it down, you make your adjustment. When you go to pick the tool up again, you know you got to drive it in forward. So you hit the button to change it into forward because you just had it in reverse, but it timed out because it was sitting there, so it went to sleep. You got to wake it up. So you hit the button, you go to use it, and you problem the first, victim of my own stupidity, compounded with, I think this came, somebody returned this because the battery was mounted, and now if you look at the battery, that is a door nail. So, do we have a crib death already? We'll get the charger in. Yeah, there's no little plastic dingus end on this. I wonder if somebody already had a go at her. Come on, Schwartz. The fuck over. For non-obvious reasons, I really prefer not to return this. 12.6, turn that way down. We're going to force some angry pixies in there just to see if we can get the battery recovered enough to take a charge. Battery plus, battery neg. Voltage is coming up fair quick. By the time we get that A part, this will be ready to go. The thing with these battery operated tools, you don't want to leave the battery on there because there's a brain box in there constantly vampirizing the pixies in the battery, and eventually she won't chooch. In deference to the terrible things about these installation drivers, that is, they're slow. The great thing about them, it's like a transformer. Look at that. As far as the coloring of the carapace goes, I much prefer the red, whether it be Hilti or Milwaukee. But this DeWalt feels much more skookum in the hand. And without that tactile switch up here, that membrane crap switch, what you can't see, it just terrible, terrible. And guys are saying, yeah, you get used to it. But as soon as you go back to an impact driver, because you're doing a little heavier work or you want to work a little quicker or whatever, that muscle memory comes back. And then you go to use the Milwaukee version of this, and it's just carried away, turn into this German tart. Wunderschön. Forgot to hit the record button. So yeah, clamshell, PA6, glass fiber reinforced. Nice molds in good shape. Haven't been overrun. Nothing popping out of that two-part mold. It's got the Seb's TPS overmolding. But wait, according to the mold markings, this is polypropylene. And it doesn't seem as stiff as nylon. It is quite cold in here, mind, as evidenced by the purple pinkish color of my hands. Was frost on the pumpkin this morning. We had a beautiful October though, man, oh man. Gorgeous, incredible. That global heating's finally starting to pay off. This is beautiful because in contrast to the Milwaukee, fellas were saying that the driver board has to be in that knuckle protector because you just couldn't get it as compact otherwise. It's utter nonsense. Look at this, a monolithic driver board with the 6 MOSFETs for driving the 3-phase brushless motor, chopping up that signal and turning it into 3-phase essentially. And here's the ka-chunk switch, strictly a potentiometer wiper on there. This is nice because this switch, it can't go dormant. It can't go into sleep mode where you have to actuate it twice to get it to go. It's either in forward or locked or reverse. I recall being quite taken with the design of the Milwaukee. However, looking at this is a far better design because it's streamlined. Takes a lot more cognitive power and a lot more work to get everything just so. You can have wires going everywhere, this, that, the other. But look at how compact that is. Now this is super cool. At the back end, we got the Hall effect board. This just has Hall effect sensors on it in order to see the position, determine the position of the rotor so that it knows which phase to energize next. But there's also a bearing on the backside and there's a bearing housing built in rather than being built into the clamshell, which allows it to be a little bit weeble wobbly. It can be a little bit weeble wobbly because you're relying on more things, more components to fix the position of that bearing. And of course, each component has its own tolerance, its own slop. So you get this compounding slop situation where maybe the bearing might not be perfectly aligned every time. But in this case, you only got the 1-2 components. Now this is slick, man. 6 locating columns. Get that out of there. Beautiful. Look at that. Very, very clever. And I had made a mistake in the previous teardown on the Milwaukee that they didn't have any balancing slots, but they did have some balancing paint. So what they do is they goop on a big chunk of paint where it needs to be heavied up in order to get this rotor balanced. I would assume that's exactly what they've done on this unit as well, because there are no grinding marks on that high permeability silicon steel in the core. So the magnet wire connections are all staked. There's some handwork going on in here. You can see maybe not the best lay of the magnet wire. That would be suspect to me as a failure point. Nice windings, except for the last one. Got some potential for some looseness there. We get into the gland end here. Same type of clutch mechanism as the Milwaukee. Just a little bit different embodiment. Same idea though, preload springs. Pushing on a thrust washer. Oh, onto some nice big balls. Everybody loves the big balls. The front of it is all plastic, meant to look like aluminum. Aluminum. Taking the shift fork off because I got to get at the fasteners to get into that gearbox. Got some posi drive. Mayhap Phillips #1. Not quite sure about these high grip Japanese woodies. They're wood, but they're wood fiber in order to give you some grip if they're greasy. I think you're better off just with sanded wood. Oh, there's the gearbox. Stacked planetary gear sets. All metal injection molded parts. In the usual way. Is that the shift ring there? No, the shift ring is this back set on the input side. That goes like that. Oh, we're at 3. We're at 3 reductions. So there you go. There's the clutch. There's the clutch ramps. Quite a bit larger than its competitor, the Milwaukee. So you can see what the balls are riding up against. They got to come up and over that ramp in order to disengage, to have the proper torque if you set that torque. But if you clamp it right down, these big balls are going to be hard up against the side of the ramp. And the spring will be pushing down and the nut will be pushing down and you'll get full throughput torque. So on the output, all the gearing is quite a bit more skookum. However, they're trying to make this plastic component look metal. That rings alarm bells with me. If you want it to look metal, just use metal. You know, an aluminum, this is a professional tool, an aluminum, die-cast aluminum part. Is it all that much more expensive? Of course, this is very, there's a lot of detail in there. So maybe the fact that they've got this threaded and they haven't gone and machined it after the fact could be quite a cost savings that they're enacting there. I still would much prefer to see a metal output casement for all this gearing. Okay, we're just about at 11 volts on the battery. And we'll see. Too far. Framing you. We'll see if we got a little. Oh yeah, we got some action on that guy. Let's put her on the charge air. You know, for what you pay for one of those adjustable power supplies. There we go. Pack charging. They're worth their weight in gold. You use them to recover batteries. You use them to charge. They're fantastic. If you don't have one, why not? Look at that. Or maybe don't. Folk, it's even got a little urethane bumper on there for taking out the high-speed vibrations from the back bearing. Huh? She's together minus the balls. So turn the output. Nothing's turning in the input. So there's a disconnect there. Now we go into our wife's purse and we just distract her and steal some balls. Now with the balls in there, now it's turning. Gone together real nice. I see this switching mechanism for the gear and very smart. They've added a spring there so you can't 200-pound gorilla. If it doesn't go into gear, you're just up against that spring instead of destroying something. So that's kind of nice. The other nice thing about this system is that there's a battery indicator on the battery. The Milwaukee doesn't have that for their 12 volt. However, the obverse of that is there's not a battery indicator on the tool, which is nice because you pull the trigger on the Milwaukee and it tells you how much chooch is left in the battery. This one, you gotta hit the 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But I prefer to have a little display on the battery so that you pick one up, you can tell if it's dead or not. All right, let's see if we got her back together proper wise. Let the smoke out, half a turn, fart. Oh, you fat. My eyes. These goggles do nothing. I don't know where they came from, but there was some iron filings on the rotor, blasted my eyes. Not to worry, they'll rust away to nothing. I couldn't fathom a guess where it come from, but the iron all kind of on the rotor, and when I gave her a little blast there, she popped me in the eyes. Son of a diddling thing. Now I'm blind. Oh, so it seems to be working okay, but this bloody Jeezeless forward reverse gets me every time. And that's it. Just that little tab. Yeah, that's the way. And back together again. Once again for the second time. Engage your safety squints. Check this out. Oh, it's in reverse. How about we go into forward? Let's get a spade bit and try that out. Inch and a quarter in high gear. About what we'd expect. Go into low gear. Oopsie doodle. Whoa. This thing's a killing machine. I'm not going to say nothing about the Tooth Fairy or Santa Claus, but you fellas what got the Milwaukee tattoo, you're going to want to turn away. Sometimes people other than the Milwaukee make skookum tools. And in fact, this DeWalt beats the crap out of the Milwaukee version of this because it's got this forward reverse. Nah, the plastic gearbox, the color, but beyond that, this is a really good tool. So thanks for watching. Keep your dick in a vice.